Good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Stories for the Cooped Up Captive and Bored Out of Their Mind. You know, I was raised by a woman who only saw the good in people, and the longer I live, the more I think she is right. Oftentimes, in people that might not necessarily be my first impression, but a lot of you may know that the Lake Mills Veterinary Clinic has a pay it forward account. We call it the Frida Fund. Over the years, it has been funded in amounts by ranging from $5 to $5,000. And I have been moved and awed by every single solitary nickel that has entered that fund. Well, recently, unsolicited, because a number of nice people knew that there were others in need, checks and donations have been appearing for the Frida Fund. Once was wedged into the door at the clinic. So I thought it'd be a good day for a Frida Fund story. Those who met a young Taylor Swift came away impressed by her handshake and her focus. I get it, because I know Jackie Zimmerman. I met Jackie Zimmerman when she was barely in her 20s. Jackie rides and trains 17 warm blood dressage horses 7 days a week, which means she cleans stalls, feeds, and waters those horses as well. When you shake hands with Jackie, your hand has been shaken. I'd only known her in Carhartts and coveralls. When I went to the 20th anniversary celebration of Wisconsin Equine Clinic and Hospital, they had invited Jackie to do an exhibition ride. I talked to her beforehand in a hooded sweatshirt. When she appeared again, she was in the back of arena on her horse Ace, who was shining like a diamond. She was sitting as straight as a Buckingham guard in the saddle, top hat, tucks, and tails. That horse did not gallop, he didn't canter, and he didn't trot. He glided. On the second lap around the arena, I was looking for anything that resembled a tweak in the reins. I couldn't see a thing. But all of a sudden, Ace floated a diagonal from one corner of the arena to the next. I don't even think there were hoof prints in the sand. So if there's anything that Jackie Zimmerman is more passionate about than riding horses, it is her black and white border collie named Zippie. Zippie was 10 years old. He was in the exam room. We were talking about preventive care and joint supplements. With her arms framing Zippie, her hands flat on the table, she looked up from under her ball cap and she said, "Dr. Stork, I would live in a cardboard box for this dog." And so it goes. Imagine 2 years later when Claire takes a telephone call. Zippie is having a hard time breathing, gagging, and wheezing. It was all hands on deck. The head is a diagnostic no man's land. But we sedated him, radiographed his head, flushed his sinuses, put him on antibiotics and steroids for the inflammation. But still, 24 hours later, he was worse. So, part and parcel to this woman's love for this dog is she would not let him suffer, not even for a minute. Through the tears, she stared straight to my soul. It was on me. "Dr. Stork, what should I do?" I said, "Jackie, Zippie's chances are not good. Zippie's chances are not zero. I want you to go to the university." She was out the driveway and down the road in a flash. I also knew that it would be a real struggle for her to afford it, so I called the clinician at the university and explained Jackie and Zippie, and that we had a pay it forward fund that was going to help with the bill. Upon hearing, he promised to talk to accounting. Well, our entire clinic held their breath that day. And when Jackie called, it took her 3 attempts to speak. They had done an MRI, found a hoof sliver in his pharynx, and were able to retrieve it with an endoscope. Zippie was coming home, and he was going to do just fine. Well, that pay it forward account is called the Frida Fund, and over the years, Frida has been able to help Ernie. Ernie had recurrent urinary tract infections. His owner had done multiple tours of duty in the sand and suffered from PTSD. He was able to help Buddy. Buddy and Betty lived in a Toyota Corolla. On Christmas Day a few years ago, they slid around a corner and T-boned a pickup truck and broke Buddy's leg. And helped Deuce. Deuce belonged to a lady who cleaned houses for a living and took care of her mother with dementia until they lost their home to a reverse mortgage scam. And then clients give back. We had a pair of A1 clients whose twins were born early and they fell behind a little bit, weren't able to take care of their cats. Frida stepped in to keep them up to date and healthy. When they got their first $20 bill, feet back on the ground again, it came right back to the Frida Fund. I had to walk away. I'm also impressed by my staff and their energy when they're working up a case that is being funded by benevolent strangers. So the Frida Fund takes its name from a legendary clinic cat we had a number of years ago. It was brought to our clinic by the town constable, Bob Delaney. He drove by her on a country road, giving her up for dead until she picked up her head. He brought her in the clinic, put a $100 bill in the cat on the counter and said, "I don't much like cats. See what you can do for her." Well, Frida never gave a nickel to the Frida Fund. As I said earlier, it's been funded by clients both big and small. But the seed for the Frida Fund was a client named Lori LaCroix. She and her dog, Luna, came to our clinic a number of years ago. Sadly, Lori and Luna were both diagnosed with cancer near the same time. They fought bravely and beautifully for years, but eventually they succumbed nearly the same time. In her last few days, Lori's husband, Dan, asked, "What would you like to have done with your estate?" She said, "To some extent, I would like to be able to help the animals. Ask Dr. Stork." No pressure there. I thought about it for a day, and when I called Dan back, I explained that in those tough times, much like the times that we're going through now, people, in spite of their best efforts, working as hard as they can, are not able to provide veterinary care for their animals. It'd be really nice to be able to help them out. Dan appeared the next day with an extremely generous check. We are but stewards of the Frida Fund, doing the best we can to help animals and their people as Lori and the other donors would see fit. So that's my story for today, and above all, see if you can't keep something moving forward.